Hey guys, I just wanted to share this quite unique, vivid dream experience I had a few weeks ago. So some of you know I had a bit of quite a spiritual awakening this year, learning about the realities of spirituality and consciousness, which had really been lacking in my life for the first, the first part. Anyway, there's a short backstory, but it's very relevant, and then I'll get to my very interesting dream experience, which I'd love to share with you, and then maybe you've got similar experiences. I'd love to hear your thoughts or speak with you sometime. Anyways, I'll get right into it. So I was speaking with my friend a few weeks ago, and she told me about her mushroom experience, and that was the first time I'd heard of anyone doing that, and what it was like for them, and it was just super fascinating and really interesting, and wow, it's inspiring. I wanted to have my own sort of experience. It was inspiring in that regard. So yeah, well, so that was about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and yeah, I'd been becoming quite aware this year, or more aware and more spiritual, just of myself and surroundings and everything. But anyways, that night I went to sleep as normal, but then I woke up in the middle of the night around 3:30 a.m., 4ish. Had to blow my nose like I do sometimes. Got back in bed, and I just felt really open to having an experience. So I started Googling and researching stuff like how to talk to your spirit guides and the differences between Islam and Buddhism. So it's the difference between the two. I watched a video or two, and then I was it told me about Buddhism, some of the main concepts. I researched, I asked ChatGPT, and then it said apparently in Buddhism, enlightenment or full enlightenment for a person is when they've achieved when they have no desires, they've ceased desires or attachment in their life, the cessation of desires and attachment. So I thought that was pretty interesting, quite profound, that quote. So I screenshot it like I did and added it to my quotes list. And then so I screenshotted that at 5:29 after all that stuff. And then I fell into a dream. It was just super intense and loud. And there was this big screen with cartoons and really vivid, beautiful colors, changing from a person to an animal, into a car, just morphing into different things right in front of me. And it was super intense. And then there was big mountains in the background. And it was real terrifying for some reason. But anyway, before it, I was Googling how to have an experience naturally, or an out-of-body experience or something, how to do it naturally. But anyways, so in this dream, it was terrifying. It felt terrifying and so intense. The displays and the morphing of images, just being shown to me, and flowing from one thing to another. Beings and things. But I knew that I had to stay in it and see what the universe was showing me. So I fought it. I used my free will. I was fighting it and just fighting hard to stay in this dream. I knew I had to see what it was showing me for whatever reason. But even though it was terrifying, and then there was these purple and teal, really vibrant colors and beautiful colors, and then it switched from that screen morphing, changing of things, into this massive area, really bright, with patterns sort of lightning bolts, or you can look under microscopes at rocks, and there's super detail of the rocks and patterns and structures, and the colors. It was a bit like that, but it was mainly really bright, and then there were patterns sort of lightning and thunder, and it was very loud and noisy. And it was almost I was thinking during it, I was is this my brain and the neurons that I'm looking at right now? Is the universe showing me my brain operating? That's what I thought, during the dream. So, and I checked my heart rate during the dream. I remember, it was racing. Like, I just checked my heart. It was like maybe 140 beats per minute. That number comes to mind for some reason, but it might have been more, but it was racing and it was a bit irregular. Normally during the night, my resting heart rate is like in the low 50s. Sometimes it's in the 40s too. Yeah, and it was just, yeah, crazy, that the bright light and just so vivid and intense, and I was shouting out loud, like real deep, like but way louder, and just shouting stuff because it was just so intense and scary, but I knew I needed to see it, so I just used all the willpower in my whole body to stay in as long as I could. Yeah, it's like in first person, but some of it felt like third person, perhaps towards the end of it. Yeah, so, and then I woke up. And it was like real stormy outside and loud. And I was like in this big room, and it was like all wooden, and I was in a big bed. And there was like, for some reason, a wooden cabinet between the bed and the door. And I could like pretty much sense the structure of the house, like where the bathroom was and a couple of other bedrooms and the hallway. And I was just lying in bed. Yeah. And then I checked the time on the clock. It said 7:31. Yeah. So that's what happened. And then I woke up in reality. Yeah, it's crazy for me. I woke up properly and checked my phone, and it said 6:10 on my phone, 6:10 a.m. So yeah, I must have been asleep for, I don't know, 30 or 40 minutes at the absolute most, maybe less. Yeah, so that was my dream experience, without any substances or anything. So yeah, I caught up with my friend the next day. I was like, oh my God, I've got to tell you like what happened last night. Yeah, so I caught up with her again, and she got like massive goosebumps, she said, when I told her about it. Yeah, so just wondering if anyone's had any experiences like that before, whether using substances or not, whether dreaming or not, or whatever. Just happy to have a chat, talk about spirituality or dreams or whatever, consciousness. I think there's so much more to life than the human five senses. Apparently trees have like 20 senses relevant to them. Yeah, trees are living beings. There's just so much to learn about with all the indigenous wisdom and quantum mechanics and the quantum field, qualia and things like that. There's just so much going on that we just really don't have a clue about. And yeah, so much subconscious stuff happening with our brains, I think. And we're just living in the 3D. Who's to say there's not more than 3D out there, like 5D or 12D, I've even heard. Yeah, that was it. Thanks a lot if you stayed for over 8 minutes. I'm going to try and get this on like Instagram and YouTube. Cool. Thank you so much. Spread the love. Peace out. Take care. And yeah, happy to hear any thoughts that came to mind or any experiences you've had. Cheers. Bye.